Hey buddy, it's Peter, and this is the 2024 Can-Am Spyder RT Limited. And for 2024, there are a few key changes, especially to do with the dash. Now, in the past, I've reviewed the 2023 model, and I talked about the dash, and I said I would come back and do a report on the dash. But I found out that was changing. Now we have the new model. So what we're going to do in this video is we're going to give an overview of what this vehicle is. But if you're interested in it, I'm going to come back to this vehicle. We're going to do riding reviews of this. We're going to do a technology review of this. We're going to do a whole bunch more. So if you have questions or things that you want to know, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button if you want to sort of follow along as we journey with this vehicle throughout this next sort of spring, summer season. But we're also going to make sure that we answer the questions that you have. So if you have a question, even if I don't know it, I'm filming here at Extreme Torque Motorsports here in Fredericton, New Brunswick. There's 3 locations in New Brunswick, and they are absolute experts on these things and all of the accessories. So even if I don't know the answer, they are an awesome resource. They're going to help me give you the answer, and I will make sure that we make future videos to cover this thing. And this is going to be one of those vehicles that I'm going to try to cover more than the average on this channel. I'm a huge fan of these things. I think they're super interesting, and I don't think everybody's mentioning some of the things that are worth mentioning on this vehicle. So I'm going to talk about things that some of the other videos aren't mentioning. And again, if you want to check it out for yourself, check out Extreme Torque Motorsports here in New Brunswick. Let's get going with this review. So before we get into the nitty-gritty of this, and we will get into the nitty-gritty, it's kind of my specialty, I want to sort of place this in the motorcycling, outdoor-ish type environment, because I think a lot of people are mistaken when they see it online, or even when you see it in person. When you see one of these going down the road, it seems like a very, very large vehicle, and it kind of is if you're comparing it to a fairly small motorcycle, but even for a touring bike, it's really not that large. It actually feels a lot more compact than you might think. And that makes it very, very nimble on city streets, to do U-turns, stuff like that, to get around town. So this is a car replacement, but it is a very nimble car replacement, even though it looks large with all of its accessories. And actually, this isn't accessories, this is the limited model with the backrest here. We'll get into all that. But I want to point out that this thing is sporty, it's small, and it's nimble, even though it looks large. And again, compared to some motorcycles, it will be large. Now, a lot of people compare this to something like the Goldwing. So let's just talk about that class of touring bike that this thing really competes with, and why you may want to consider this. Well, to me, when we all dream of having that touring motorcycle, that large, heavyweight, loaded up with gear and a passenger type motorcycle, we always kind of picture the really nice days, the really great scenery. But the reality is, if you're going to do any kind of real trips with any kind of motorcycle, you're going to run into weather. You're going to run into things where you've rushed to load it. Maybe you haven't loaded it evenly left to right. You're going to run into situations where you just have to get through bad weather. And with this thing, you're going to be heavily protected from that weather just in the overall shape of it, including the massive floorboards and the way this thing is sort of set up. But you're also going to be in a situation where you've got really good contact patches on the ground. So when we talk about this potentially replacing a vehicle, it's entirely possible. You get this in a great rain suit and you can drive this 3 seasons of the year here in Canada and all around everywhere else. And it really does make sense as that sort of replacement vehicle. It's efficient, it's absolutely a blast to drive, but it also is super, super practical. And because it is relatively compact for an on-road vehicle, and with all this storage, you can use it to zip around town like you would with a very tiny car and have all the space you need to get stuff. So this is a really, really usable motorcycle-like device, and I've had people tell me it's not a motorcycle, it is a motorcycle. I don't really care what you call it. It's an open road vehicle that is absolutely perfect for what it's designed to do. And these 3-wheel bikes from Can-Am, there's the Ryker, which is right beside me off screen here, and the Spyder. The Spyder is the one that to me makes the most sense in its class. The Ryker is a cool little sport vehicle, but it kind of competes in an area where a sport motorcycle might make sense. This one in that touring class of motorcycle or whatever this is really, really makes sense, because it really does touring better than your average motorcycle, if you ask me. All right, let's get going with some of the nitty-gritty. So when you talk about a touring motorcycle, typically for luggage you have side bags here and a top bag there. Now on this limited model, that top bag is an option. That is removable, we'll talk about that. The limited comes standard with that piece, but of course there's a lower trim level where you could add that backrest and that rear top case. Traditionally, that's all the storage you have on a typical touring motorcycle. Where this one stands out is in the front trunk. I'm going to call it a frunk. This one's slightly open right now, so that's why the panel gaps are pretty bad. It just makes it easier for me to do my video. We're going to jump in there and take a look at that space, because it's a lot of space in there that makes this far more practical than your average touring motorcycle. So looking down from the top over here, you have a pretty cool space here. So this again is super, super deep. And I mean like super deep, like I'm gonna stick my whole arm in here and it's, you know, well past my elbow, up near my armpit in there. This one happens to have a little extra sort of case in there. You have some extra little zip pockets in there, so you can put some extra things outside or inside. You can zip this pocket in there. But really what this is a very large open space where you can fit all kinds of stuff, and that's lockable. So again, whether you get the top case on this limited model or not, you still have a massive storage compartment in the front. And for something like, you know, moto camping or something like that, the amount of extra space you gain over a typical motorcycle just in here really matters. And you can put your heavy stuff in here as well, because when you think about how it's mounted, it's between the wheels. So let's start talking about how the weight distribution of this works and how it kind of matters to you and the performance of this, because it really is kind of like a performance vehicle. So I love this new face. This face isn't new for 2024, but a lot of people forget that this thing has been constantly evolving and updating. So this new face has been around for a while, but you've got your extra LED lighting up there, sort of that gives you that real wide kind of look, that low stance here. And again, you can see your front trunk here that goes all the way down to the bottom is lower than where you sit. So it's in front, down low, and it's between the wheels. Now you have to think about weight distribution when you have two wheels out front. That's great weight distribution. And then this is built a lot like an F1 car. If you take a look at just the general shape of it, even though the body is fairly wide compared to the wheels, that does give you some practicality. You still have the wheels sitting out. And if you think about a sports car, instead of having the wheels in, you've got all the weight centralized down together and the wheels out, which gives this a really good amount of handling. Now it handles different than a motorcycle. You're gonna lean into your turns because it'll sort of throw you off, sort of like a car would lean that way. But what it does is it has really big tires. I mean, they're not huge tires for, you know, a car or something like that. But for a motorcycle type device, you have a lot of grip out front. The front wheels handle almost all of the braking on a motorcycle, and it's going to do the same thing here. A lot of weight comes to the front wheels, so you've got great braking and great cornering traction, no matter what the conditions, whether it's slippery, whether it's sandy still in the early spring, or whether it's wet outside or even dry. You've got great traction on there. So you have something that's fun to drive because it handles. And then you can see in here those radiators in there. So what's cool about that is at slow speeds, the fan actually reverses and pushes the air out. So at slow speeds, you're not facing that hot air kind of getting over from the engine over to you in the riding position. It's actually pulling the air towards us at slow speeds, and then at high speeds it allows it to come through and stays away from your body just because of the general speed of the vehicle. So that's super, super cool in the design. So you have something here that's designed as a sporting type vehicle, as well as something that has some luxury touches and a ton of thought put into it. Great lighting, great thought to, you know, air management, just like you would need on a motorcycle, and great handling. It really is a well thought out design at this stage in its evolution. Now let's take a look at the brakes on this side here. So taking a look at the front wheels here, you have a couple things that I think are worth pointing out. You can see there was some lighting from the front out here. The other thing you're not going to really see is the fenders kind of curl over and they're nice and tight to the wheel here. Again, because the fender is also mounted to the suspension, it can stay nice and tight, and that can handle that rain sort of shooting anywhere. It gives you better aerodynamics. It just gives you a cool styling look. All of that is pretty cool. You got your alloy wheel here, and you may not notice, but these are Brembo brakes. So again, when we talk about the quality, the evolution of these types of vehicles, and we talk about this limited model, you think of it sort of like a, you know, gold wing type thing. The reality is this thing is a performance vehicle. So you've got good quality Brembo brakes on the front here. You've got ABS, traction control, stability control. All of those things are going to make a big difference. And one of the key benefits of this style of trike with two wheels in the front instead of like a Harley style trike with two wheels in the back is the handling is there. So braking, cornering, and you know, all of the handling pieces you've got, including Brembo brakes on there, so you can have really precise control and a really good feel. So everything about this is high quality. So one of the things I really love about these RT models compared to something like the Riker or something else is you've got these massive floorboards. Now, normally I shouldn't walk through the shot, but that's what I'm going to do here. Of course, because it is a three-wheel vehicle, I can just stand on this and come across, and you can see the bodywork is everywhere there. So there's no engine showing here, no nothing. You can put your feet up forward, you can put it back, you can put it out, you can put it in. You've got only a brake pedal, so there's no handlebars like a front brake on a motorcycle, just a brake pedal there. And what's cool is it kind of works like a car. Set your foot there, set your foot on the brake. Really easy, good control. And again, Because the floorboards are so large, you can see that my size 11 feet here have tons of space to move around. You've got the panel in front keeping wind and rain away, good weather protection, and good size foot pedal there, not a little motorcycle brake. Now as we move to the rear seat here, you can see that my size 11 still fit on these pegs. Of course, they're very adjustable, but you've got a ton of space to move your feet around here as well. You can move them back, you can move them forward. You can get really comfortable here with these foot pegs, and of course, we'll show you the seating position a little bit later when we move up, but you've got tons of foot room which is going to allow you to be comfortable up top. So let's keep moving through. So we talked about storage on this, and of course the bags here have to be built in nice. There's a nice little handle down here kind of built into the bodywork. It is of course lockable, and you can see that pops down smooth. So I can pull that handle there with 2 fingers and it comes down nice and smooth and light. And this of course is labeled right hand side. You do have a nice gasket along this whole thing, so it's going to help seal all the material like the water and everything else. So you got the aerodynamics also keeping things out of there. And this is a deep storage compartment there. And what's cool about it is it's kind of a soft close thing, so you can just sort of, I'll just kind of lean up against this. You can see the extra seal up here. Just tap it shut and it clicks in place, and that's kind of closed. So just a nice quality precision feel to the side bags, and the side bags here are standard. The top box is an option on the Spyder RT, but it is standard on this limited model that you're looking at. So everything you're looking at on this video is all standard equipment on the limited trim, but there may be something like, for instance, this that is not standard. Let's talk about that box right now. So now we'll take a look at the top box. Again, this is standard on the RT Limited, but optional on other models. Now what's cool about this is you have this model here. Let's just actually turn the key on for a second and see if we can get some lighting in there. Turning the key on, you can see you do have a little white light in there. So, and beside that is a USB port. I can take the cap off. There's 2 USB-A ports in there, so you could charge your devices in there if you needed to. But what's cool about this is you can see on the bottom here, I don't know if you can kind of see it there. Yeah, it's enough light there. You can see that you've got a little piece here that'll help you unscrew that, and this piece is removable. So even though the RT Limited comes with this piece, if you wanted to remove it and have it off, you could do that. You could put like sort of a clean cowling over top, but you can also put a whole bunch of other Link accessories on there. That's that LINQ, that BRP accessory thing. So they have everything from snowmobile and Sea-Doo accessories that'll also fit on this. So it depends on what you want to put on there, but you could put coolers, you could put other types of things. So if you didn't want this top box, or you just wanted to remove it for one of your trips or even just your daily riding, you have that option of removing it, giving it a little sleeker look, but also replacing it with different types of things that of course securely latch onto here. Now the other thing worth mentioning down here is this is a rubber bottom here, so there's almost like a floor mat in there that you can sort of see here. It kind of fits like a sort of like a WeatherTech floor mat. It's kind of like a laser fit rubber floor mat. Now I say WeatherTech, the WeatherTechs feel more plasticky than this. This definitely has a more rubbery feel, but of course that's going to keep things from rattling around if something was to sit down there, but also keep things gripped in place. So again, front trunk, 2 side cases, and the rear top box. There's tons and tons of storage in this unit. So before we show you that new dash, let's show you the seating position on this. Now, first of all, there's a lot of adaptation in here, a lot of things you can do. This is the standard setup, but there are all kinds of accessories for different closer and further, handlebars. There's all kinds of things you can do, different windshields and that kind of thing. This one does have the powered windshield, so it's in the down position there. My shoulder's kind of reaching up to reach it right there, but we're gonna put it in its top position here, and you can really get some extra wind protection that's going to throw everything right over your helmet. So if you're riding on this thing, you can really get some extra protection, or you can bring it down and get some extra airflow through to you. Even when it's in the upper position, there are some vents through here which allow basically the air to come through to avoid that negative pressure area in behind, so it's not buffeting or sucking in behind you, but it does give you a lot of width. But in addition to that windshield giving width, you have mirrors that are going to give you width. We're going to show you all this in a second. The mirrors actually give you some, and the speaker grills here give you some protection for your hands. So you don't need those hand grills in front. Like on an adventure bike, you get that wind protection through like that. And again, seating position, very, very comfortable, very commanding, and a lot of room to move around. Here, you can put a backrest in here if you want to just sit back and that kind of thing. And again, because it's not like a motorcycle, you might sit back a little bit more and do that. I like to sort of move a little bit forward here and get sort of aggressive through the turns. You've still got that motorcycle-like feeling of a wider area, but really the ability to grip it with your legs. So as you're leaning into a corner and turning to the right, leaning into the corner and turning to the left, you can really sort of grip that with not just your hands, but also your legs. Now, throw your passenger up top here. Lots of options for your passenger as well. This one doesn't have the armrests or anything like that, but we do have heated grips here where my hands are. You have heated seat seat here, you have a heated seat here as well. All of this is standard on this limited model. So you really have a full out touring model even without the accessories. But then again, if you talk to people like here at Torque Motorsports, they'll walk you through the types of options you have for your accessories, and the accessories can really make or break your trip. You can make this exactly what you want for the type of riding you're gonna do. And that's one of the key pieces with this, is you can add exactly what you want. Now, Can-Am on their website has a bunch of packages, for instance, so you could put a package on this. Personally, I think it's more fun to kind of make it individually what you want, but if you find that, 80% of what you want is already in that package anyways, throw a package on and you kind of have that website price right there. But you can individualize your options. Now let's take a look at what you've got from my perspective here. We'll take you in the driver's seat here and show you the view of this new dash and a lot of the functions in front of you. All right, so moving you into the driver's environment here, it's not exactly my view. I've got the camera on the wide angle to try to give you that perspective. I'm gonna show you the dash here in a second here, but let's just show you what you've got down here. Sort of a frameless mirror design, very minimal frame there, so you can adjust those up and have perfect vision out the side there. You can see your speaker grills up there. I gotta say the speakers sound great on this vehicle. This is a new piece here. Now this is a 10.25-inch screen, so you're gonna see this in a lot of cars, that exact same size. We'll touch on that in a second here, but when we pull back from that again, sort of a normal, not wide angle here, you've got a number of your accessories. Now, all big clunky buttons here. So you've got a big button here to move your steering wheel, heated grips, of course, right there, heated seat right here. So again, higher levels and lower levels, easy to control stuff. And over here, just sort of your standard stuff. You've got your parking brake over here, kill switch, that kind of thing, your cruise control down low. That's all on the throttle side. And again, no shift lever there and no brake lever here. So you've got just, simple grips. It almost simplifies the view a little bit. It makes this less intimidating overall. Now over here you do have some intimidation. We're gonna do a separate video to go through some of the exact controls and how they work on the dash. We'll talk about the dash in 1 second there, but overall you've got a few things going on here. First of all, you've got that flash to pass, sort of high beam type thing right there. Your stereo volume, up and down tracks, that kind of thing. A lot of your multifunction controls in there for that display. And then down here beside your horn and your signal, which is just like a motorcycle, you have that shifter. So that's that push and that pull. So there's a little minus button there, the trigger, down and up. So this is a semi-automatic transmission. And what that means is if you don't downshift, and you can downshift, but if you don't downshift, it's going to automatically downshift and balance. And when you go away to accelerate, it's going to have the right gear chosen. But when you do drive, you still have that manual selection of gear. So you're going to tap that to get up and down, which is pretty cool. Now, one thing you'll notice if you have driven the previous model Spyder Limited or the Spyder RT, you'll notice there used to be a reverse button now. So instead of having a reverse button here, you're just going to use the downshift button to select your reverse gear there instead. All right, let's take a look at the dash here. So to get to the dash, I'm going to put my foot on the brake. I'm going to actually tap this a little bit forward, and that's going to bring the dash. So again, sort of reverse that throttle just a tiny bit. That's going to bring open the dash. Now I got to admit, this dash is super clear, but in this showroom type environment, it's very difficult to show you. So you got to just sort of believe me on this one. Although it looks like it's a lot of reflection, stuff like that, a lot of that is just the camera. I will say that the dash is still very familiar to the previous model. They have sort of a similar style and size gauges here, but you have a very large speedometer. This one's set up in miles per hour right now. Of course, that can switch to kilometers per hour. A lot of things in here. We're going to select just the menu button here. You can sort of see the gauges. Let's just go through. Let's just go through some of these gauges there. Where are we? Hitting the wrong buttons because I'm trying to hit there. There we go. So statistics, gauges, we'll switch the gauges. Let's go back there again. We'll go to the media, we'll select that. So you can connect your Bluetooth device. This is really the key piece to this dash, and I think it's a huge piece that kind of makes it up. Let me see if I can zoom right in. You can sort of focus on what it says there. It says connect device. So there we go. Trying to show you the clarity of this. The screens, the camera's having trouble picking up. Once you connect your Bluetooth device, of course you have all your Bluetooth functions. Now that's been an option for a while. The bigger difference is you can fill this area with Apple CarPlay. Now that is a huge game changer because if you talk to auto reviewers always love Apple CarPlay. Now I think the reason auto reviewers like it is because they switch from car to car and CarPlay makes sense and they can just kind of work the cars without learning the cars. What you're going to find on this though is it's going to give you things like Apple Maps and Google Maps right there in your display screen. So you can use that as your navigation. You have other options of course as well, but you have a system that is committed to upgrading over time in Apple CarPlay, and this is as you can see, a touch screen. So you can touch stuff here and work it. Now again, on a system where you have a 3-wheel motorcycle or a 3-wheel vehicle, I'm gonna go fully wide angle again here, that to me is something where you might not be as afraid to do the touch screen as you would be on a 2-wheel motorcycle. The other thing we should talk about is the steering. This is electronic power steering, which would be different than a motorcycle. So what it is a variable steering ratio. So as you turn at slower speeds, it's gonna give you more assist, and at higher speeds, it's gonna sort of stiffen up for you. And what that means is it's gonna be stable on the highway, but also very easy to drive around in town for just parking. You can kind of move it with a couple fingers to steer at lower speeds. So CarPlay is all new, reverse sitting system is all new, and then the rest of the technologies, again, just mild improvements, evolution over time, a really good system here. So again, we'll show you that view there. I'm kind of looking straight in line with my eyes there. Actually, my eyes are just above right here, was sort of how I would see it. But if we want to show you that coming up, we can sort of see it goes into your eyes, into your view. And now I'm basically tucked in behind the screen. My eyes are kind of down at this level here. So there's that screen there. A lot of really cool things. A great touring vehicle that's also great around town. While I've got the handy cam here, I'm going to show you a couple things that we've got. We've got sort of LED lighting down here. Now you can add extra LED lighting on this bike. So you've got the sort of standard marker lights there that are kind of tough to show on camera. They look like just a reflection, but they're nice bright LEDs right out to the wheel. So you have sort of those marker lights marking the width. You have sort of position lights down there in the front, which you can kind of see creating the ghosting on the screen there. You have a really cool shape here. And again, those fins here are just kind of floating fins right on that red panel there. As you come up here, you've got your proper lighting up top, your mirrors in there, a nice cool, again, that windshield allows some venting underneath, it allows some venting throughout. So again, that's gonna decrease that pressure below so it's not sucking you in, it's not creating that wind noise. If you take a look at the seats here, it's worth showing you. They have that sort of perforated kind of look. It gives you a nice grip. These are very soft and cushy, very comfortable. They're firm underneath, but soft on top. So that's what gives you that comfort over a long trip. Over here, you have a very rubber feeling grip down there, and these are your heated grips and heated seats right there. So they are backlit, you can see there as well, kind of trying to get the focus on there, but you've got that. And again, if you wanted to drop the accessory backrest in there, you can do that. Take a look back here, you can see that there's a good angle. Let me see if I can get that there. Good angle, sort of backrest support in there. So you've got a support on the sides when you're cornering, but you've also got a good sort of lumbar support in there. Rear lighting, we can't really get a great view there, but you have got the LED lights, the reverse light in there as well. And then come around this side here, you can sort of see it all put together there. The exhaust down low on the right-hand side, you can see that extra wheel there, large ventilated brake again. Large brakes on this thing because, of course, it's going to be able to stop in a sort of performance type setting. And then you've got the adjustable foot pegs there, huge foot pegs there. We're going to go nice and close in there. Rotax power, we didn't even talk about the Rotax power, 1.3 liter 3-cylinder engine, about, I can't remember, I think about 115 horsepower. I'll throw it up on screen if I'm incorrect there, right in that area, which is plenty to make this powerful. But this is, again, is not fully about, super sport performance. It's about strong, consistent performance with that strong torque, and that's what it is. So really cool overall unit. Let's wrap this one up. So let's talk about who this Can-Am Spyder RT Limited is for. Now, first of all, if you're unfamiliar with sort of the Can-Am lineup, it's worth looking at the Ryker as well. The Ryker is more compact, it is more focused on sort of a sport riding position, a little bit smaller type unit, and it's going to be a little bit less luxurious level of comfort, but still a very comfortable unit. That is a lower price model. That's what the Can-Am Spyder sort of started out as, and the Ryker kind of filled that spot. The Spyder has grown in sort of purpose as much as size over the years, and of course the Limited is the largest one, but it's still very compact vehicle. So you have to keep in mind there's that lineup. There's also the F3 model, so that is sort of based on this sort of platform in general, but is a little bit more of a sportier, less touring looking unit, and it really competes with probably more cruisers, has a more cruiser style seating. So this really is designed to compete with those top end touring motorcycles from BMW, from Honda, of course, we mentioned the Goldwing several times. But what you have here is something that is far, far more versatile. First of all, it's super comfortable. I'm sitting on this thing. There's not a fear at all about anything about this, not dropping it, not braking, not running into poor weather. It's just super, super easy to ride, super comfortable. And to me, if you're thinking about doing those long, huge tours, Not having to worry about your bike or not having to worry about your vehicle is a big piece of doing that. And that's what this does. It allows you to enjoy the scenery, allows you to take everything you need with the bags here, the bag there, and that front trunk to take everything you're gonna need so that you're not skimping out. You're taking all the stuff you need, even with 2 people. And to me, that is really what allows you to enjoy it. Now this 2024 model, stepping up the tech, I'm gonna be honest, if you're looking at the 2023 or 2024 and you kind of like using CarPlay in your car, just get this. That touchscreen CarPlay is going to make a huge difference to you. Now, if you're not a CarPlay person, if you're an Android phone person, or if you're just someone who doesn't find you need all those things of CarPlay, sure, there's still some older ones sitting in some of these dealerships. You could go for that. But to me, stepping up to this current model with that tech, I think that has value that's going to hold value over time. CarPlay is just a hugely popular thing with a whole lot of people. And it does give you something that even if you don't want CarPlay now, you know, the next Apple event may introduce a feature that you're like, oh, I wish I had CarPlay, and of course on this you would get it. It's just a software update on your phone that would give you new features. Overall, this is a device, or this is a unit that is great for those long tours, really underrated and great for around town, and can really replace a vehicle for a lot of people. And again, the biggest thing with this is it's more fun than you think with its overall geometry. It's more practical than you think with everything else. And like I said, buy yourself a great rain suit and you can enjoy this in any weather, because again, if you're going to do tours, you can't tour around the weather. Sometimes you got to go there, throw a rain suit on, you won't get wet at all. You'll have great weather protection. You can drive this every day, day or night, all day. It's super, it's one of my favorite overall vehicles. And like I said, subscribe to this channel because we're gonna have a lot more to that. So again, if you wanna see this in person, I wanna thank Extreme Torque Motorsports. We're at their Fredericton location. There's 3 locations here in New Brunswick. Check them all out. They all have these. This is February of 2024. They've already got the 2024 models in stock. You can put your name on it right away this year and make sure it's ready as soon as the snow melts. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll talk to you in the next one.